So what does it look like to balance ministry, marriage, motherhood, and Bible college? That's what we're going to unpack in today's episode of the JC Podcast. So welcome to the JC Podcast, a place where we get to unpack and explore life topics in a confusing and fast-changing world. I'm your host, James, and this is our 8th episode for the JC Podcast. So thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Today we have a very special guest. I've known her for probably, 15 plus years. I was doing the math. She was one of the first people which I thought of when wanting to do this podcast when I started it. I think we have the same wavelength when it comes to our passion for God and for ministry as well. She's a daughter of God. She's a wife. She's a mother. She's a worship ministry leader, leading a team of like 45 plus people. She worship leads. She's a drummer as well. She's a Bible college student, and she's a dear friend and mentor to many as well. And I've had the privilege of not only leading with this person, but also having the chance to lead and mentor her as well. So please welcome to the JC Podcast, Justine Lim.
Yay. Oh my God. Aw, I feel so honored. Like I read it because obviously, you sent me a bit of a brief, but hearing you say it, I feel so honored. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming on. And I think it'll be great having you on this podcast because I think there's so much that I can learn and we can all learn from you. So thank you for saying yes and joining, and also in a way being a catalyst for and being a subscriber before I even began. So I remember that conversation that we had at the cafe that you're like, hey, you should just start it. Thank you for kind of being the catalyst. So obviously, you wear so many different hats. So let's just get straight into it. What does your life look like for you currently? Give us a snapshot of like a day in the life of Justine. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think it's different every day, which is funny because obviously I do acknowledge I do wear a lot of different hats, but every day it looks very different, which I don't know if it's a good thing. There's like no routine, but the number one thing that I have to do every single morning is I have to have an iced coffee.
Yeah.
I have to have an iced coffee. But generally,
like you made that yourself, or like
yes.
Yeah.
So we bought a machine. This is so
Very
off track,
nice.
but we bought a machine with like a full discount and everything. It was so good. But anyway, such a good investment because it's my treat every morning. And it's
cheaper in the long run.
It is. Yes. It is. It's so much cheaper in the long run. Like I don't spend like $6 outside for coffee, which is ridiculous. But generally, I wake up, I just get myself prepared, obviously, and then I send Reese off to childcare. But then sometimes I like spend time with him. Every day it looks really different. I don't really have a day in the office, like church office.
What time does like your day usually start? Like, what time do you wake up?
7:45.
Yeah, okay.
Is that early? I feel like that's
okay.
I feel like it's okay, but I think
not too early. Yeah.
I think like after becoming a mother, time is relative.
Yes.
Time is relative. So I feel like a 7:45 a.m. start is pretty good. Yeah. 7:45 to 8:30, and then we just like head off, and then every day looks different. It depends on what the priorities are for the day. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I can't give you like a snapshot of my life.
Because every day is so different.
It's so different.
Yeah.
Generally, when college starts, then I have specific days that I go to college, which are normally on the Wednesdays and Thursdays, and then weekends because you work at church. They're like flat out.
Yes.
But looks different.
So it just could be anything.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah. So, like often you hear people say that they're too busy to do ministry. I think that's a very common thing. And I think I don't want to, diminish that people's some people's lives are indeed very busy. But that is a common thing you hear. So obviously you're doing a lot. How do you do it?
Yeah, good question.
And I guess maybe to add to that, like, did you ever feel that was a reason or an excuse for you, or like not even something you ever considered?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think I get asked that a lot, which I get kind of like, I still get a bit shocked about because I'm like, I don't feel like I'm doing much, which I don't know if that's healthy, but I just don't think that I'm doing that much. But maybe I'll start with like me when I was pregnant. I mean, James and I, we've known each other for a while. Like, you knew me when I was pregnant, and I didn't even think of myself as pregnant. Like, I don't know. Like, I do think like every person is different, but I think for me, going into anything in my life, like Ben's my husband. Ben and I have a very clear mindset and conviction that our lives are not about, they're not dictated by the situations and the circumstances. They're always dictated by the word of God. And if the word of God says that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and that was written by Paul who was in prison, then what excuse do I have? Like, I'm supposed to be actually doing all things through Christ who strengthens me. So I feel like, how do I do it? The question is, how does God do it? It's not really me. It's actually just me drawing strength from God. And I know that sounds so Christian, but I can't explain it any other way, because I look back at the time that I was pregnant, even me giving birth, or like, which is crazy. Like, but like, you know, just going through stuff like that. And then my first year as a mom, like, I just look back at that time and I honestly feel like that was all God. So I don't know, like, I don't think our lives should be, essentially, I don't think our lives should be dictated by the circumstances or how we feel about certain things. Although you can feel those things, but it's not about you. Like, it's all just drawing strength from God.
Yeah.
But
then it's like, I think that's really good. You know, in a sense, it is not about us. Like, our lives, in a way, we're supposed to be good stewards of everything that's given to us, right? Including our time, including our lives. But then, like, I guess how would you encourage, or what would you say to the person that would say, like, I want to serve, but I literally feel like there's just too much in my life. Maybe they're married, they have kids, and they're just like, their kids are crazy kids. Like, I think, like, because, you know, there are definitely parents who are blessed with very good kids.
It's
and then there are parents who have really challenging kids, right?
It's true.
So, like, what would you say to people like that, you know, in that situation?
I think, for sure. Like, I acknowledge that, like, you know, Reese is my son. He is so chill. But I also think it's like how we raised him and everything. But anyway, that's a whole different thing. But like, I'd say it doesn't start, like, I love that, you know, you have that heart to serve, but you start at home. You start by yourself. And if yourself is not sorted with God, then I don't think like you can do more and more and more. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like like you said, we have to be good stewards of what God has given us, and He's given you your body, your house, your own you know, you are the person that you need to surrender to God first and foremost, and then those things will follow. So I guess it starts in the secret place. It starts in the hidden. It starts when nobody's watching. And that's hard. That's the hard work, I guess.
What did you, I guess, I don't know if this is a strange question, but like, were you always in that place, or did you have to really, how did you get there in a way? And like, how did you find that place for yourself?
I think I still struggle with it today. And I think that's normal. Like, I think every person, there's just so much that holds us back from being with God. And for me, like, I actually only recently, I've just been really struggling to have that discipline in my life to be like, hey, God, like, I want to spend time with you, but I can't. I'm getting distracted. I'm being pushed in different directions. And I think, like, you mentioned it in like your podcast, one of the episodes anyway. I can't remember, but I was listening to it, and you were just saying that, like, you felt like God was your taskmaster or something, your boss. And I think that's the pull, I think, sometimes that we can get when we're doing too much. We feel like God is like directing, making us do stuff. But I think the revelation that we need to have is that He is a father. He is the perfect father that loves us. And I always think about the prodigal son, right? That no matter where we're at, when we're running, when we're coming back to God, He is running towards us. And that, we know that in our head, but do you understand that in your heart? We need to have that revelation. And so I think that really does start with building relationship with God. And as hard as it is, we need to just have that discipline to come back again and again and again. And so for me, I've been struggling with this recently. And so I've put in place, like, every morning this sounds so stupid, but every morning I'm going to romanticize my date with God. Yeah. Like, I sit at the table with my coffee and I open up my paper Bible, my paper journal, and I'm like going back to that place. And I don't care how long or how short it takes. I'm just going to spend time with God. And the fruit that comes from that is so sweet. Like, I just like it, there's no pressure. There's no, I need to do this because of this. It's just like, I'm actually, you kind of have to change your mindset, I guess. I'm actually just having a date with my Father. I'm having quality one-on-one time with God that no one else gets to interrupt. No one else gets to be a part of. And I guess it takes a while to get to that place because it's a discipline. Yeah. But that's the hard work, I guess. You have to do it, Yeah. Otherwise, it really, like, how are we different from anybody else in the world? We're just going through life like everyone else, living by our own strength and by our own effort. And I don't think we can really do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I guess, like, I think because as you mentioned, in my previous podcast when I talked about my burnout, like, that was, I think, a challenging thing for me. Like, how do you shift that? I think it's like, and this is maybe something that people can, if you're in ministry or even in, I'd say even Bible college as well, because when I studied Bible college, I had, it almost like reading the word almost became like study. And so it's like, how do you then go back and redeem that time as like, no, this is like time with my Father. And so that's a journey that I'm on still. Yeah. And like, so I guess for me, like what it looks like, similar to you, but I guess, I think maybe I recognize that at the end of the day, for me, I have to just start. Yeah. Because I think something that I heard recently was that people always want the ideal. Yeah. And which is good. Like, you should want the ideal. Like, this is where you want to be, aim for that. But I think, and I'm very prone to this, I want to get there straight away. And when I'm not there, I feel like I failed or I didn't accomplish what I want to accomplish.
Is it a perfectionist thing?
100%. Yeah. And so I think I mentioned as well, I have very perfectionistic tendencies or like fear of failure kind of thing. It's like, to me, it's like, I want to know, like, very metric oriented, I guess. It's like, did I achieve what I achieved today? Yeah. And I think it's like, because the standard is like, you have to experience this. Yeah. When you're only doing this, you feel like, oh, I didn't get there. But then I think it's really just like taking those small steps, and that is success in a way. Yeah. Because you're not going to get there straight away.
I think that's the difference between us, and I've known this. Like, you have like a rubric in your head almost, where I genuinely don't. Yeah. I don't know, it's weird because I do have those tendencies to be like, hey, I'm not good enough, or I feel like I need to uphold some sort of standard for myself. Yeah. I have very high expectations of myself. I don't know. I think it's just like how I grew up, like older sibling, older sister mentality. I feel like I have to uphold something for everyone. But with God, I don't know why I used to feel that way, but maybe I just had that revelation where it's just like, oh my gosh, like I'm completely undone by God. And I feel like when it comes to Christianity, excuse me, when it comes to Christianity, perfection doesn't exist, but only in Jesus. Yeah. And so I think, I don't know, we really have to grasp that, especially as people in ministry. Like, at the end of the day, yes, it is a job. yes, there are boundaries that we need to put in place. You know, that all the HR, whatever, that kind of stuff, right? I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I really do get it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like, dude, this is your life. Like, this is life. This is church life. Even if we weren't getting paid for it, if we weren't getting paid for ministry, like, this is your life. This is what I'm committed to, even if I'm not getting paid to do it. And I think that in itself needs to come into place where, hey, like, I'm so broken. Like, I'm part of this church. I'm a child of God that needs saving. And I think that's when, like, maybe we have to get to a place where we're so broken and undone by God that we understand the saving grace of God and the beauty of his love for us that saves us, you know?
Yeah.
So actually, in a way, like, when we, you know, you talk about burnout so much on your podcast and also in our conversations, like, burnout maybe is a blessing.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like, for anybody experiencing burnout, sometimes we need to get to a place where God undoes us for him to reveal more of himself to us. However, we also need to kind of put ourselves in positions to receive that. And I think perfectionism, it blocks that, you know, and it's so hard. Like, it's so scary, you know, because perfectionism, you're trying to achieve something by yourself, but you can't.
That's right.
And that's like a cycle.
Yeah.
It's so tiring.
Yes. Yeah. I guess it's like, I mean, we kind of went a bit of a tangent, but I think, the thing that allows you to last long in ministry, or anything is just your relationship with God. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing.
You need to like health check that all the time.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your marriage. So I hope I got this right. You married at the age of 22. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, what?
22?
Oh my gosh, I keep thinking
Is
I'm
that right?
24. I'm 26 now. Oh my God, yeah, I got married at 22.
Correct, though, right?
Yeah.
And obviously that's quite young compared to what is now the average, right? And people are getting married a lot older.
Okay.
And so you got married how long ago? How many years ago?
I got married in 2020.
Yeah, okay, so 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Like that is an interesting thing in a way.
Yes.
So like maybe share a bit about what that experience was like for you marrying so young, and was it what you expected at that time?
Yeah, you see, I feel like the average now is like all over the place.
Yeah,
I don't know if you agree. Like, I feel like everyone.
But I think generally it's still a bit.
You
higher.
reckon?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, maybe
but not to say that people aren't getting married younger.
Yeah,
but I think the average is still older.
The whole experience is okay. To give more context, Ben and I have been dating since we were teenagers. So that in itself, we were dating for like 6 years. So that in itself is like a whole other story. So obviously, I think it makes sense for us to get married at that time. But yes, I think, I don't know, I love it. Like, I feel like people should get married young. People shouldn't get married irresponsibly, but people should get married young. Like, I think it's a great thing because you're growing up together, you learn things together. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's not that dramatic to me.
Okay.
Getting married young, getting married at 22.
Yeah.
It felt right.
Yeah. Why do you think people are wanting to get married later? And why do you think that is?
There's so many reasons.
I mean, just pick a few.
Yeah, there's so many. I think, I don't know, I'm just I'm too much of an out of a box thinker. I think I'm thinking about all the different reasons. But I think people are getting married later because from my conversations with some people, they feel like they need to get certain things in place before settling down or getting married. However, I just don't think that those things are as important as the covenant that you're going to make with the person. Yeah. So for example, before Ben and I got married or had conversations about marriage, we thought we needed to have bought a house first and both have stable careers,
Yep.
which we did through those things. But then COVID-19 pandemic hit, and then in an instant, like Ben lost his job, I lost my job, and everything shut down, and we were supposed to get married in 6 months time. What was going to happen? We had no idea. And now in hindsight, we were like, oh yeah, lockdown, like Victoria was so familiar with the lockdowns. We were like, you'll never know, right? But at the time it was so scary because literally our future was taken from us. And that, you see, that the whole thing about like getting married and stuff, that concept of you have to have your life sorted beforehand, before you get married, like it just doesn't make sense anymore. Like nothing, even our parents, they had things that they wished for us. Those things also went out the window for them. They both, on both sides, said, as long as you guys get married, just get married. So that's the challenge, right? And then now we're falling back into it. Oh, I got to make sure I earn X amount first. I got to make sure I get a house first. How am I going to get a house in this market? Which is so true. And I don't think we should do things in an unwise manner. But the wisest thing to do is honestly to honor God. And you are honoring God by making sure your marriage is marriage under God is the priority. Yeah. So I think for us, like we pretty much like we lost our jobs and everything, and we didn't know where we were gonna live, and it was very stressful. Then the whole wedding thing, that's a whole other thing. Yeah.
I really just want to circle back to what you said. I think I can't remember exactly how you phrased it, but you said that something about your life was taken away from you, and I think I'm reminded of that verse. I can't remember where it's from, but it was like, the Lord is the one that,
gives and takes away or something.
No. The other one. Man manages his steps, but like the Lord is the one who determines them. Something like that.
Oh, Proverbs.
The Proverbs one, and it's just interesting how like you're so right that we can have all these plans, but then ultimately God is still sovereign and we don't know what's going to happen.
No, you don't.
And it's like no one has the promise of even tomorrow. So it's like, why do we strive so hard to try to establish our own steps when God is the one who, leads us and who, orchestrates that?
Exactly.
And I think that applies to so many different areas of our life, but even in marriage as well. Like, I think, and maybe this is a question that I have is like, then what do you think needs to be there minimum for someone to get married? Because I think there are definitely like the considerations that people have, I think, are valid concerns, things to think about. So things like, where are we going to live? Is it going to be bought? Is it going to be rented? Can we financially support ourselves? All that kind of stuff is good stuff to think about.
Yeah.
But what would you say is like bare minimum needs to be there?
Yeah.
That it's just kind of like, if this is here, then get married.
Yeah.
What would be that for you?
I think, like, aside from like, you need to believe in God, all that. Aside from all that, like
just like practical stuff. Yeah.
I think good counsel, like a good circle of people around you that you love and trust, and that can speak into things, and like I think for Ben and I, we had people in our lives that really loved us and were there to also affirm that getting married was okay. Yeah. Getting married was good.
Yes.
You guys are not crazy. Yeah. However, there were a lot of outside noise that was like, oh, that's crazy. But also that really, honestly, I don't recall that time of people saying that we were crazy or we were too young.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really recall the time of people loving on us and being supportive of our decision. And that is the power of a really good circle of counsel. And that those people included like our parents or something, we have good parents on both sides. Like they were both very supportive. So yeah, good counsel I think is important.
Yeah.
Because they can also, like, on a very practical sense, they can also give you very practical ways on working around those really important conversations. How do we buy a house? What does renting look like?
Yeah.
Can we help?
Yeah.
You know? And we had friends that so willingly gave up so much to help us too. Yeah.
Is there, just getting real practical, I'm already hearing some people who might have this question of like, is there a minimum number of like good counsel? Like, are we talking 1, 2, 3, 10? Like, what is that?
Oh, you're asking the wrong person. I think like minimum 2.
Okay, minimum 2.
Not just like one person.
Okay.
I feel like you need 2 people, you know?
Okay.
Like one on each side, like one for like, you know,
sure.
the male, one for the female,
Sure.
something like that. Not just like one.
Okay, yeah.
I think 2 minimum.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say 3, but.
Why 3?
I think it's like 2, it's almost like the third one is the confirmation. Or it's like, you know, I'm not trying to like, you know, but I think it's
2 to 3. Let's
2
say
to 3.
2 to 3.
I think is good.
Yeah.
But then also, I think it also speaks to the point you don't want too many.
Exactly.
Because
you
like
don't.
having the whole thing of like too many cooks spoil the broth.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's sometimes when you have too many opinions.
Agreed.
And if they're all like conflicting, then it's just like, which one do I?
Agreed.
listen to? So I think it's really just about that whole, like, you got to have a group of people that you truly trust.
Yeah.
And I think the important one is that you know that they will speak the truth to you.
Exactly.
Whether you like to hear it or not.
Exactly.
That's probably like, yeah. Because then you could end up with one person who doesn't really speak the truth, and then it's just like, oh, okay, this guy said it's okay, therefore I'll do it.
Exactly.
You know?
And I think it speaks a lot, like, you know, like I feel like with Ben and I, our marriage, like it was really founded on dating in community and being in community. And what does that really mean? And I was reading Proverbs 27 recently, and it talks a lot about like iron sharpening iron, a friend, like, you know, sharpens a friend or something like that. And how, I think it says something like this. I'm rephrasing, but in Proverbs 27, it says criticism from a good friend is better than praise from like a fool or something like that. Something like that. And I think, it speaks a lot about like who are the people in your life, because then that also, you need a date in that sense where people are feeding each other and filling each other and speaking life into you know?
Yeah.
You can't just listen to what you want to hear.
Yeah.
So knowing your friends is important. Like,
Yeah. Speaking of like your marriage, so as you are so busy with so many things and obviously with Reese as well, how are you guys, you and Ben, intentional to still date and even in marriage and kind of keep love alive, as it were? Like how do you guys still be intentional to do that? And what does that look like for you guys?
It's hard, but it's also very, I think Ben and I, our first and foremost, Ben and I are best friends. And I think friendship is
what does that mean? Like best friends? Like, because some people may have different definitions of what that is.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've had this conversation with my mom before, and she, I don't know, maybe I'm calling my mom out, sorry. But she doesn't believe that your husband should be your best friend. They should be like your lover, your like romance, I guess. I'm not sure, but I don't believe that. I believe the foundation of your relationship with your significant other needs to be friendship. Because feelings are very come and go. Romance is very here and there. You can experience moments of romance all the time, but friendship is what keeps Ben and I going. We confide in each other, we comfort each other, we talk about everything stupid, but also everything deep and things that are on our heart. That's friendship. That's not actually romance. Like, that's friendship. Yeah. So I think what keeps our love alive is the fact that we are fond of each other. We like each other. We like hanging out. We enjoy each other. and because we're friends.
Yeah.
You know?
So then do you guys, you mentioned things like, having those chats and stuff like that. Is that something that you intentionally carve out the time for, or is it more of like it just happens when it happens?
That's so interesting. I feel like I know a lot of couples that do date nights.
Date nights, yes.
We don't have that because life is too unpredictable for us. It's so crazy. Yeah. We do sometimes, we're like, oh, we need to hang out. Let's go watch a movie or something. And I think I was talking to someone recently at a baby shower and this lady, she just had a baby and she said something that put the words to how I felt. Yeah. She said that if her newborn baby, not newborn, the baby's like what, I don't know, 4 or 5 months or something. If my baby was crying, but my husband also needed me, I will tend to my husband first.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's, I mean, in the most responsible way, I assume. It's just like she's trying to paint a picture of like that's the household culture where there is a healthy marriage first and then comes the healthy family. Yeah. So I think in general, Ben and I also put each other first. We are the priority. In every sense that is responsible. That's what I mean. Like Ben and I, we do put each other first. We acknowledge and know that our marriage comes first. Yeah. Our marriage is the foundation of our good family, of a good serving life, working life. Yeah.
I guess like, because I think I'm just trying to, again, put myself in people's shoes. Like, I think there might be people out there who may feel that it's like life often gets away from them.
Yes.
And so, but then for you, it seems that it's so natural that, because like, as you said, it's kind of like, we have a hangout, like, let's just go and do something, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I guess like for the person like that who feels like life is getting ahead, like away from them, like what would you say to them or like encourage them with?
I mean, I acknowledge it so much. Like I feel that too. I don't mean to say I do it perfectly. Mm-hmm. I think maybe I'm just this type of person, like the kind of person that I told you, just start the podcast. I always just tell us, like, let's just pause. Yeah. Let's get it done now. So for example, like sometimes when we both have been feeling like, oh, I miss you. I haven't hung out with you in a while. We've been busy with other stuff. Or like Reese is always around, which is amazing. We love our family time, but sometimes like we just need one-on-one time, you know? Yeah. We'll like call up a friend or call up one of our parents like, hi, can you take care of Reese for like 4 hours tonight? Yeah. Ben and I just want to have dinner, or Ben and I just want to go watch a movie. Which Ben loves movies, you know, anyway, he loves the cinema. So we just do that. Yeah. And I think often sometimes people might say like, oh, like, don't you feel like you're burdening other people? Don't you feel like it's, you know, I feel like stop that, because that's also unfair on the other person. I think like, I feel like it's so much more enriching for everyone's lives that Reese is in it. That my son blesses people and other people bless him too. Other people bless us. It's a beautiful cycle. We all are not supposed to live life on our own. That's really strange. Like, we're not made for that. We're made to love on each other and bless each other and be involved, not in a nosy way, in a loving way. And so, we just give the opportunity out there for us to spend time together. And I think that's totally okay and valid. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess like talking about Reese as well, like obviously you became a mother not too long ago. Yes. That's crazy. Not super young, but still, you know, like, so how has motherhood been for you? The best. I cannot describe it. I am so naturally not a kids person. I don't know what to do with a kid, with a baby. And then my life just like changed. So I'll tell the story, right? Yeah. I fell pregnant unexpectedly. Not that we didn't ever want a baby or we didn't want kids. We were always open, but I just never thought I could conceive. And so when I took that pregnancy test and it actually came out like, you're pregnant, I was shocked. I was so shocked because I just never thought I could get pregnant. Yeah. And so that's crazy in itself. But yeah, motherhood has been great. I cannot describe it. I think it's scary. It was very scary, but also like this is just the theme of our thing today. Like life is scary. Life is unexpected. You can't plan everything.
Yeah.
You can't. And so when something falls like this into your hands, you have a choice to say, I'm scared. I need to like put it all on me. Or you can say, this is such a blessing.
Yeah.
God, equip me.
Yeah.
Equip me, please.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah. It's a choice as well, I think. Yeah.
It's like, what have been some of the greatest joys for you in motherhood?
Boy, I don't know. Just, it is crazy. I think, I don't know. I just love the kid a lot. And it's really weird. You know, when Jesus says it's more blessed to give than to receive.
Yeah.
I just like, he does nothing for me. The child does nothing for me. But
just takes everything from you.
Yeah, he actually takes everything from me, but I just feel so blessed.
Yeah.
I cannot describe it. It's really hard to describe. I just love the kid a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that feels so good. I just love him so much. Like I've never known a love like this. It's really weird. Yeah.
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 Has being a mother shifted any perspectives or like kind of shifted anything in you in the way that you view things?
I think it reinforced that I can't be in control of everything. Yeah. It just reinforced it. And I didn't realize how much of a stress head I was. Like, because I think I definitely have depressive tendencies, but I didn't know I had anxious tendencies. So, just, I think like mom anxiety is so real. Mom guilt, like lots of feelings. I think it invokes a lot of like feelings in you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it just like really reinforces the fact that you can't control everything. You have to let go. Yeah. You really do have to let go. And you have to realize that the child, although he is under my care, he is not actually mine. He's God's.
Wow. Yeah.
And actually as it's hard to let that go because you like want him so bad. Like I want him to be mine. And I think you can feel that way about everything. My career, my girlfriend, boyfriend, my wife, whatever, like my friends, you know, my son. Yeah. But he's not. He's actually all God's. And it's hard to let go, but once you actually do, it's so freeing. Yeah. Because you're like, oh, okay, low-key God's problem. But
that's true.
Yeah, it frees you to enjoy it more, frees you to recognize like, oh, I have my purpose to live and I'm going to just disciple him to know his purpose. Like that's actually my role. I'm supposed to just partner with God to lead him. It's not my job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really love that because not only does that apply to motherhood, but in so many other areas.
Exactly.
Like, I was going to ask you, but you kind of answered it. Like, you know, how do you reach that place? And I think, as you said, like when you can truly learn to let go, like you just have so much more joy when it comes to these things. Because I guess it comes out of like, part of it is like fear.
Yeah.
As far as like, you know, what if I lose my kid or what if this XYZ happens to him? But then it's like, you know, I guess. I
think you have to come down to like the heart of it, right? Which is like what, you know, when you're fearful of losing your kid or whatever, like fearful of losing your job, your friends, your family, all of these things. When you come down to the heart of it, it's actually like, oh, maybe I like put so much of myself in this thing. My identity is wrapped up in this thing. Yeah. And that's when you have to go, oh, but my identity is supposed to be a child of God first and foremost. Yeah. And that's when you have to do the work. And I think I also hear people saying like, how do I just let go? How do you just do it? And hey, it's not like an overnight thing. Yeah. I think it's a journey that you have to acknowledge like and commit to and say, God, I'm committed. and I acknowledge I need to go on this journey with you, I'm actually going to take my role as a child of God seriously. First and foremost, that's the priority. And it's going to be very countercultural because everything in you is going to tell you to hold on to that thing. But you have to sit down and do the work with God.
Yeah.
And I think in that you will find letting go very, very easy. Very, very naturally, super organic to like, God, it's all yours. I surrender everything. But then you somehow gain it all back. Yeah. Not in the way that you think, but you gain so much from it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like, just to add that before we move on, I think it's just the whole thing of like, the Lord gives and he takes away, right? It's like every good thing comes from the Lord.
Yeah.
And so, like at the end of the day, as you said, I think some people might struggle to have that perspective that this child that they have been blessed with or that they gave birth to is like given by God, you know? And I think that's a challenging thing to wrestle with. But when you realize that, it's a lot easier to let go. And it doesn't mean you avail your responsibility.
Of course.
The worry and the fear diminishes. It loses its power, I guess.
Of course, exactly. Yeah. And that's what I mean with like the mom. I mean, I acknowledge this in parents, like in general. Dads probably don't feel it as much. It's different. It's a different feeling. I don't know what a dad feels like. I know what a mom feels like. But the mom anxiety and guilt, that all stems from your own issues, honestly. Yeah. Like, and I mean, no parent is perfect. Oh my gosh. Like it's so crazy. So I was telling someone yesterday, I feel like I'm an imposter.
Yeah.
Like I'm 26. I feel like I'm 16. I feel like I'm a teen mother.
Yeah.
I feel like a teen mom, but
why do you feel that way?
Because I think you just feel like you have to be a certain someone to be a mom, to be a certain someone, to be in a position you're in. But you are you and you don't, I had to come to the realization that you are you. You cannot be someone else. You are supposed to do what God has made you to do, your certain style, your certain flavor. And so that's me true. As a mom, I just also had to like let go, like, I'm just going to be me.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to be me, I have to really do the work with God. Like that's actually true discipleship. You don't tell someone how to do it. They actually watch you. And so you got to look after yourself in a most responsible way, not like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's crazy.
Yeah. I guess like switching gears to like Bible college and like ministry. So you're kind of studying at Bible college. This is your second year.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that journey of wanting to do Bible college, being called to Bible college, and a bit about why considerations whilst also trying to balance the practical aspects of motherhood. Yeah. Obviously work as well. Like, Tell us a bit about that.
So I got called. Oh, it's so weird to say like I got called, but I really felt a strong inkling to go to Bible college for a long time. I just didn't want to go. Like and I think maybe somebody can relate to this, but lots of voices in my head, not necessarily, it wasn't very strong voices of like, I do not want to go to Bible college. It's like, oh yeah, maybe one day, or I'll go when I'm older, a mature age student, when I have kids and stuff, and then I can do it or whatever, right? I totally relate to it. And it's actually very, very practical. It makes sense. But yeah, I felt strong inklings to go to Bible college when I was probably 16. And then when I graduated year 12, which is like, our final year of high school, going into uni in Australia, I felt the inkling again to go to Bible college. And I was like, no, I'll go to uni first, get some experience. And then after uni, I was graduating, I felt the inkling again. So those were like more like strong inklings, like feelings, I felt the feeling like, go to Bible college. And I was like, nah, if God wants me to go to Bible college, that means he wants me to work in full-time ministry. And that means I have to get some secular work first. So I think I'll go look for a job. And
love that logic.
I know. So it's like, it's so normal though, right? For humans to do that. We're trying to justify the step of faith. Which is funny because I think faith doesn't really work that way. It's not like that. And so I worked for a bit. And obviously in hindsight now, I look back, I'm like very grateful that I did all of that stuff. But yeah, I remember I was pregnant. Actually, it was 3 days before my due date. And I felt a very strong inkling, very, very strong. To be very frank, I was at a worship night or something somewhere. And I felt like I could not really feel the presence of God. It was really weird. Like, it just felt really distant. And I was like, God, like, why? Like, why am I like this, you know? And I felt a whisper of, I didn't hear it. It just felt like, oh, it's like you're not living out in obedience. And I was like, oh, like, what? So you want me to go to Bible college again? I'm about to have a baby. How? And I remember like a very sarcastic thing of God, like, you know, God saying sarcastically, oh, I guess you'll never go to Bible college for the next 18 years of your life then. And I was like, oh, geez, like, that's pretty hard hitting. Because I was like, yeah, I mean, it's fine, but can I like wait for 18 years to not live out in what God is actually calling me to step out in faith to do? And so I actually signed up for Bible college a week later, and then life-changing. I went into my first year of Bible college as a breastfeeding mom with a 4 or 5 month old kid. And bruh, I look back at it and like, how the heck did I do it? But it's all God, you know? If he called you to do it, he will provide. He will make a way. And I did it very joyfully. It was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life.
So good.
So good.
Do you have any like stories of how like God provided for you during that time in the way that you thought like, I just can't do this, and then God shows up? Yeah,
definitely. I think really weirdly, you know, as a mom of a baby, like you don't get any sleep. You're very tired. Your body's like overworking. The fact that I could do it like, and I didn't feel tired is crazy. Like I really didn't feel tired. And that's supernatural because I think in general, right, like we hear a lot of people today in any stage of life, any place in their life, even in ministry and not in ministry, saying, I'm really tired. And to me, they you know, they looked at how I did Bible college and they're like, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't know. It is truly from God. And I don't know, like it says in James, you know, like in the book of James. It says in the book of James to count it all joy when you go through trials and tribulations. And it's like, I think I could really experience that because I put my trust in God every single day. I really was like, God, I'm done. Like, you call me to do this, you do it. And he did. He did do it. Like, I didn't do it. I don't know how to explain it. And I know it's so impractical. Like, I'm sorry, it's so impractical, but I truly don't know. It's all from God.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I guess like moving to ministry, so as I said, you're a worship ministry leader. You obviously didn't start there.
No.
So share a bit about your ministry and leadership journey. Where did it begin? And did you always feel called to step into leadership? Like, tell us a bit about that.
I hate being a leader. I've told you this many times. I just hate it. It's so funny. I think Bible college actually really sowed a lot of seeds into this area because, if anything, I love Bible college because I went into it with a different perspective, I guess, not feeling like I needed to do it. In fact, I didn't really want to do it. Like I went into it feeling like not that it would make me more qualified for ministry, not that it would make me smarter, but I really prayed and went into it feeling like, oh, God's going to deal with my character. And that's actually really scary. It was really scary. It was very hard. But But I think in doing that, I think God really broke down a lot of pride in the area of ministry. Like, oh, I'm better than people, or I'm a good leader, I'm meant to do this. But I think he broke that down a lot. And I was like, no, I don't want to be a leader anymore. And it's so funny because when we feel like we don't want to do it, God then like pushes us to do it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I really relate to Jonah in the Bible, or Moses in the Bible. Just like, oh Lord, why me? And why? I just want to run away. I don't want to do it. Yeah. So in saying that, worship ministry leading is hard. Not because people are hard, but people are hard. Not my team. They're amazing, honestly. My team, I love my team so much. But like, people are hard in ministry. But
I mean, it's the whole thing of like more people, more problems.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So
but really, it's hard because it grows my character. It's hard because it points out a lot of things in my heart that are not dealt with. Lots of pride. Yeah, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And I love that because I think I was having a conversation with someone the other day and we were just talking about like, you know, if you don't allow yourself, if you don't, how do I say this? If you're not humble to allow God to change you, then it's like you're always going to be capped at a certain place. And even though you may have so much potential for God, if you don't allow your character to change, then it's like you'll forever be here.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just love how you pointed that out because it's like, you know, you could just say, God, I don't want to listen to you. I'm just going to lead the way I want to lead. But then you're not an effective leader. You don't grow as a leader, and you don't grow as a child of God either.
Yeah,
you know. But so I love how you pointed that out. Like that's so important. But it requires humility, and it requires you to be attentive to the Holy Spirit when the Holy Spirit nudges you and says, like, "Hey, you need to work on this thing." So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think the best leaders are the leaders that do the work with God themselves. Like I'd rather be led by a leader that's like so like skill wise very low because that doesn't truly matter that much to me, but in terms of heart of like wanting to dig deeper into the things of God and for themselves, like I think that's really important because I think that's actually the most attractive thing about a leader. It's the most contagious thing, like, oh my gosh, like I want what they have. And of course, you know, we need to grow in our skills and everything, but like that's not actually the point. Like the point of a leader, especially within the church context, is like, oh, like they have a revelation of the Father's love. They have a revelation of like how delicious or scrumptious, like how like, you know, they have a hunger for God, you know, and I think that's really attractive with a leader. And I think Bible college for me really helped with that because Bible college just like broke me down where I was like so hungry to know more about God, which is funny. Like I feel like because of Bible college, I just love the word. Like I love it. There's so much in it. Like I love it, you know? I just feel like God speaks so much in the word. And I feel like that helped me maybe be a good leader because I feel like I really love the word and I love God. And I feel like people maybe see that in me. They find it attractive, you know?
Yeah, I think they definitely do see it. Yes.
Lol.
Yeah. I guess like, you know, every leader has their leadership style. Leadership personality. Yeah. What would you say yours
I'm
is?
Really chaotic, I think. Low key. But I think James, like you really like, you taught me how to admin. You did. Like, not that I was like super chaotic before, but I think I saw like a lot of value in like, at least I need to bring people along that can help me in that area. I definitely did not have the gift of administration. But I think I'm a big picture person, a bit of a visionary. Like I like taking risks and doing new things.
Yeah. I asked that specifically because as I have led with you, so we've been same level, but then I've led over you as well. I can say that you just have this ability to be able to balance your strengths and weaknesses.
Aww.
And I know it's been an intentional journey for you because you're very thoughtful about these things, right? So like, I guess like how have you gone about doing that? Like balancing your strengths and your weaknesses, and like why do you feel like maybe you're so effective in it?
I don't know. I don't think I'm effective.
I think you're effective. I guess so. I'm asking you, like, how did you get there? Like, or what do you like? What does that intentionality look like for you? Yeah,
I think knowing that I can't do it all maybe makes me more effective. So I actually practically like seek out help. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think? I feel like you have more insight because you served with me as my leader.
I don't know. It's true. Actually, I remember I had to give that job reference for you.
The job reference.
Like a few years ago. And I said at that time, and I still believe it's true, that I think because they would ask specifically, do you think Justine is very like people oriented? Is she very like task oriented? And I'm like, she kind of like is a bit of both. Like she kind of can operate in either. Like, so she isn't really a particular, and I think that has its strengths in that you can go between. But I think maybe if I was to put it on something, I think it's what we've already talked about in a way. I think it's that humility and that recognition that I think maybe in a way that you don't want to be a leader. and I think that then makes you very aware of where you fall short as a leader, which then you invite God in and say, I don't want to do it because of this. So you're going to have to show up and help me with this.
It's true. It's true. I think naturally like what you said before, but naturally I fall into people oriented.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like naturally.
Naturally, yes.
But I do acknowledge I am sometimes quite task oriented. I'm like, guys, let's just like get it done,
Yeah.
But I think I was thinking about it as you were saying. I think like my journey in serving, I intentionally never sought out a leadership position. Although in me, like my pride was like, I want to like do it. But I don't know, maybe it was Holy Spirit protecting me. I was never like, I was like, I'll just do whatever task was given to me, or I'll raise my hand up to be like, I remember, when we were youth leaders together, like, I don't know if you remember, I remember just like doing a bunch of random little things. Like, I don't know if you remember, I remember doing it, and I remember feeling like I don't know how to do this, like administrative wise or organizing, like stuff like that, being task oriented, it was hard. Yeah. But I feel like the journey that I've gone on in serving or just in doing things in life, I was always happy to learn. Yeah. And I think that also, before becoming a leader, I feel like that years of just like doing whatever.
Yes, that is true. Can confirm. Yeah. I think you were just like willing to do anything. So I think in a way you were very humble in that sense. It's not that you're like, you didn't have the attitude that nothing is too beneath me to do.
Yes.
You were just like, wherever you need help, like let me help. I will do that thing that no one else wants to do.
Like I'm genuinely happy to do it. Like, but I acknowledge that I'm bad at it, It's like, I can help, but I don't think I'm like good at it,
It's like, this is what you're going to get, but I can do it.
Yeah. And sometimes people are like, oh no, don't worry, Justine,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for example, with like tech stuff, like I just like can't do it. Like I'm happy to. I think it's like years of just like, I'm happy to do it. And then I think it made me like who I am today. And I still have lots to learn. So
what do you think makes a good leader?
Oh, like in general?
Yeah. Like you look at that person, you're like, that's a great leader.
I think I look at longevity. So in a way, like I look up to people who have been in the game longer, which is kind of bad. No, but I do think there are some leaders that are like amazing, but it's just like you can tell like for example, for me, I feel like I'm still quite young in the leadership area. Like I feel like I have lots to learn, and I feel like, there's a lot of people like me, and But I really look up to like people who have been in the game for a long time, and it's like, how the heck are you still doing it? And it's not like their problems get better. It's like there's more, but they still can do it. So I like to see longevity in people. Yeah.
But I guess like what do you think is behind that longevity?
I don't know, because it's different for everyone. Like it really is. Some people are just like passionate.
Yeah.
But like to me, it's like, but what keeps you passionate? You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I also think people who are the same on the platform and the same face to face. Yeah. I think that's important. Like authenticity, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess like who are some of the leaders that you would look up to? Like maybe like top 2, top 3. I don't know. You can just choose one if you only have one.
I don't know. You caught me off guard. Sorry.
No, all good.
Yeah. I think I look up to... This is so embarrassing, but I do look up to my uncle. Yeah, Pastor Tamfuan.
Yeah.
From Lifegate Church.
Senior pastor.
Shout out, senior pastor.
Yeah.
No, I think I do look up to him.
Yeah.
Not because he's like the perfect leader. Like, I mean, you know, Pastor Tamfuan, we love him. But we're, truly, sometimes he's like kind of rogue, you know. But I think I look up to him because he just keeps going. There's a bit of consistency there, like where he just always can keep going.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about longevity. And
like he's been in ministry for a long time. I think he's been in ministry for like 40 years now or 30 years. I can't remember, but that's like really long.
Yeah.
It's such a long time. Like it's like double my age or less. But like, I just think that shows like, man, you must be doing something right. Yeah. Like, and the thing is, he has like, he actually has a heart for people. I think that's what I look up to.
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone else. Like, I mean, there's so many that I do look up to. I don't want to like name all the leaders at Lifegate. They're all amazing, you know. Yeah. I think maybe a heart for people. Yeah, that authenticity vibe where they actually care for you.
Yeah, that was something I was going to say. Like, I think what I think makes a really great leader is, and I think it's so evident when you observe different leaders, and the leaders that tend to be more effective than others are the ones that really care about people.
Yeah.
And not even that it's like, hey, I care for you, but people feel cared and people feel loved by this leader.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to say like, I'm caring for you, but then it's one thing for the other person to actually feel cared and loved.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's the same with like motherhood. Like you are a leader technically to your child, right? That's your sphere. So I feel like you need to show them that you actually care for them to follow in your footsteps, I guess. Yeah. If you're just like telling them to do stuff, but they don't feel loved or cared for, you know, that it's ineffective as a leader.
Right.
Same in your like church context or team context, like they need to know you hear them. They need to know you and like genuine hear, not like, oh, I need to make sure they know they hear me. Yeah. I actually care.
Yeah.
Like I do. And I don't know, if people don't feel that, that's also that's between them and God, you know. I'm not here to like, you know, but you know?
Yeah. And I feel like you do that pretty well.
Oh, thanks.
But yeah, you're right in the sense that I think you can't please everybody.
No.
So I think there is an extent or there's a point in which you reach that it's like, okay, I care for you, but there is a limit to that.
Yes.
But
you're not God.
Yeah. But then I think at the end of the day, practically, like there is a point where you still can say that, hey, like I still generally care for you and love you.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And I think people can see
for
that,
sure.
whether they have very high needs or whatever.
Yeah,
but
you can't manufacture love.
Yeah.
You can't manufacture like a moment of care.
Yeah.
Like you just have to embody that almost. And like it comes back to the same thing. It comes back to your relationship with God. It comes back to your health, like with that, your health check with God, you know? Because like the overflow of like a good relationship with God, a genuine relationship with God is genuine care for others.
Yeah.
It's just natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, just on that note as well, I was talking with someone the other day, and they said, you know, I don't know, like, how does Justine, like, how does she lead and connect with people who are all, like, older than her? Like, how does she do that so well?
That is so weird because I feel like I don't do that well.
and like, I agree with them. Like, I think I think the reason that you are able to do that so well, I feel, is because I think you just have this genuine curiosity and care for people. So like you generally just ask them, and I've seen you do this, like you ask them like, how is your family? How is your kids? And like you take a genuine interest in people.
Yeah.
And I think people really see that. So it's not like that they're like, and I think, yes, there are definitely people, like, no, not people. I think people definitely value things like, can you know, are you organized? Are you a visionary? Are you, you know, can you get stuff done?
Yeah.
But I think more than that, as we said, I think it's like, does this person care about me? You know, and I think you do that really well because you just take a genuine, you know.
It's true. Like, I think, but yeah, and to say like, I don't know, some people may be like, oh, but I hate small talk. Bro, I hate small talk. But these aren't small talk conversations to me. It's like, these are people.
Don't see it as small talk.
No. And I think, I think maybe that's, but to me, this isn't even about a leadership, but I guess it plays into part. Like, I feel like this is about a believer of Jesus. How are you carrying yourself in every moment? It's not like, oh, I'm a leader. Like, I'm in a position where I have to think of like people, you know, like I feel like that's also kind of toxic because then your people love for people becomes task oriented. That is so dangerous and toxic where we treat people like they're the job. Like you can't do that. Like especially within the church, I think like, especially as someone in, you just can't. Like it's so people can see right through that, I think, as well. Like, and I think I was really challenged by that personally because I'm such a people pleaser naturally. And I just had to like, I had to be like, God, like I don't want people to see through that. Like, and I think as an overflow of that, it's like, oh, I genuinely actually do care for people that I'm talking to. I want to know what's going on and I don't have the answers to like their problems, but I'm here to just genuinely listen.
And hear them. And I see you do that. So
thanks. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna. There's like 4 like kind of really random questions.
I love it. Let's go.
So we're just gonna go there. So what's your burden for the capital C Church?
Bruh,
we've talked about this.
We just talked about this.
But yes, for the benefit of everyone else. Yes.
I have a very strong burden for the capital C Church. I don't want to see the church operate out of their own strength. I want to see the Holy Spirit empower people. Like we can't do things without the Holy Spirit. So that's my burden, like to see people empowered and living out a Christian empowered life that is only through the Holy Spirit. Yeah.
Awesome. What would you say are your concerns that you have for today's generation? So you're a Gen Z.
I think I'm a Gen Z, but I did a poll on Instagram recently. Is really? Justine Lim a millennial or Gen Z? And it was pretty close.
Like half.
Yeah, I think I'm in between.
You're in between. Okay. Yeah. So maybe you can speak for both generations. What are the concerns that you have for today's generation?
I think for millennials, my concern is that they feel like they need to be perfect. To that, like that's like you don't, you know, before getting stuff done. And then I think for Gen Z, it's the same. Yeah.
Do you reckon they also feel like they have to?
I think in different ways.
Okay.
Like I feel like with Gen Z, there's a lot of anxiety and fear of not being good enough. But I think it manifests in a really different way for millennials where there's like a fear of not being good enough as well. Maybe it's just like with everyone. I think.
Do you think it's because like they see the generation before them, but then it manifests differently?
I think so.
It's kind of like you look at Gen Zs who then look at millennials and they're like, or maybe millennials put that pressure on Gen Zs.
Yeah, I think so.
But then obviously for Gen Z, it manifests more in anxiety.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe for millennials, I don't know how it manifests for them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know. I think it's, I don't know. Yeah. I think in general, like, okay, for me, like, I think it's that like, yeah, like what I see is that people are fearful that they're not good enough for God or not good enough for the things of God, which is true. And that's then, you know, yeah.
What's a common belief that people have that you find nowadays that people have, but it's actually false?
Oh,
yeah.
A common belief
that people may have or people just accept as like, this is how it is, but it's actually false.
I don't know, but I think it's changing now. I think it's changing, but that you have to have a full-time job before you get married. I think like what we talked about before, like you have to have a full-time job before you get married. But I think it's changing slowly. People are just a bit more okay to break out of that norm.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Would you say that also applies to like not even those who are getting married, but just in general?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you need a full-time job. I think you need income.
Yes.
But like, I don't think you need to like have a specific type of job. I think you can be creative in getting money, getting income.
Yeah.
It just takes a lot more effort, but that's okay. Yeah.
And I think there's a shift that I'm seeing that more people are now wanting the 4-day week.
Bruh,
Yeah.
I'm praying for the 4-day week. It's so much healthier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More balanced.
Yeah. Maybe this is very Gen Z of me.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because I do feel it. And also I just think that like people can be creative and more bold. And I do see it more nowadays to like start something that they're passionate about, like this podcast. Like you'll never know. Like, and I think that's really important.
I don't know if this is a hot take. I literally just had this thought. Like maybe the reason why people are moving towards a 4-day week is because it's almost like a, what do you want to call it, conscious or subconscious act against the crazy pace that the world is living in. It's almost like we realize that we cannot survive at the rate that we have allowed ourselves
100%.
to run at. Therefore, it's like the only solution is to go to 4 days a week. Because then I can definitely hear people like, you know, boomer generation, they're like, what do you mean 4 days a week? You're so weak, you know, like,
we did it for like
we work 6 days a week, 7 days a week. But it's like, but the world was not in the state that it is in currently. Like, now the world is just so different. It's a different landscape. So,
it's true.
Yeah.
And I really think that like it's just not healthy, really. Like if you see so many people, like burnout is so real. Yeah. And it's so real. Like we need to like do something about that, you know? Like there needs to be specific boundaries in place and specific lifestyle changes, you know? We can't go at the pace we're going. And I think honestly, like Ben and I, like we genuinely do live at the pace that is healthy for us. Yeah. Like, yeah. It's not like we earn like heaps of money, but it's we're happy.
Yeah. And I, you know, even for myself on the sabbatical, I've like, yes, I don't know if I ever want to go back
like
to that crazy life.
I remember we like talked about it at that cafe, right? We were like, James, just take the 6 months.
And now I'm here taking the 6 months.
So good.
Yeah. Before we get into like my kind of typical lightning round to end the podcast, last question. What's a message that you have for young adults out there?
You guys are amazing. Every single one of you. And you were every single one, literally. I really genuinely believe it. You are supposed to do something and don't let you can't let your fear and your insecurity and people's voices stop you from doing what God wants you to do. You need to get out there and just do it. Literally, I really genuinely feel it. Like, I mean, you know, like I'm planning young adults camp, right? I really feel it. Like, yeah, and it sounds so gross and cheesy. Like, you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do. It's like so cringe, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like, we need a generation that is bold enough to say yes to God and to step out in faith and just say yes. Like what Ben and I did with our lives, with Bible college, with ministry, with parenthood, and like even just getting married with no job. Like, we need people like that. Not like us, but we need people that step out in faith and obedience. Yeah. Truly.
Yeah. And like, it reminds me of something that I heard from, it was like a YouTube video. And I love, and I hope it encourages to that point where, especially because, you know, people might feel like, oh, but then I can't do it to the level that, you know, I think should be done, you know, or like I'm not good enough, you know. And this quote, I love it, you know, there's always going to be someone else better in the room than you.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Yes.
Yes.
Like, in the room, there's always going to be someone better than you, 100%. Like, someone can always do something better than you.
Yeah.
But then no one can do what God has called you to do.
It's true.
Like, only you can do that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's that thing of like, if God has called you, so what? You may not be able to do it as good as John or like whoever it is, right? But God has called you to it.
Yeah.
And no one else can do it better than you.
Yeah. And I just genuinely, I know this is like going a little bit long, but like, I want to go back to like the story of Jonah. God, like, I mean, yes, you hear those things that like God can call anyone, and it's true. Like, if you don't want to do it, like God can do it himself, right? But that's the thing. Like, God actually wants to partner with us. Like, God wanted Jonah to do it, and not just for the people of Nineveh, but for Jonah.
Correct. That's
right. And so actually, God, like, to the people who are scared to do something or not good enough, like, God actually wants to do it with you, and that is like. Then
and he wants to do something in you.
Yes, and he wants to do something in you. Yeah, not just with you, but in you. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the crux of it. That like, this is my relationship with God. It's me and God. Yeah. And if I'm not confident enough in that, like, I got to do that secret place business. Yeah. I got to go and like work on my heart. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like something which I've been kind of using as a little mantra for myself is that, and I've experienced, the biggest enemy of growth is comfort.
Oh, yes.
And so it's like...
Oh, my gosh. I was talking to someone about this recently. Oh, my gosh.
Because like, you know, like... And I've experienced that, you know, just being put in so many uncomfortable situations in the past 2 months.
Yeah.
But have grown so much. Yeah. But it's like, I wouldn't be in this place of growth unless I was willing to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, and I think... Yeah, I mean, no one likes being uncomfortable, right? But it's like, that's where God really can work in you and do something in you.
It's true.
Like often God calls us not because he thinks that we are the best at doing it.
Exactly.
But because he wants to do something in us.
Yeah, you know, exactly. 100%. 100%. Like, I was talking to someone recently about this and she was saying, she's a missionary. Haha. So she said to me, when I start feeling comfortable, I start getting, something's wrong. Yeah. And I think, that's like Gen Z millennial. We love our comfort. It's fair enough.
Especially in Australia.
Yeah, especially in Australia. Like, fair enough. Like, I get it. But sometimes when you feel an inkling, like, you just maybe got to say yes and
see what happens.
Yeah. And you got to be okay with like being wrong about it. And that's like the whole perfectionism thing. You got to be okay with like, I heard God wrong. Yeah. Sorry, you know.
But it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. And I can truly say, especially for people probably listening to this podcast that are probably in their cars or probably in their houses or whatever, like, you will probably be okay.
Yeah.
you probably
that's
will.
Right.
And I know that's like really like, that's like kind of mean, I guess. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be mean, but it's true.
I don't think it's mean.
Okay.
I think it's a challenge. It's true. You know, like, you'll be fine. Like, I think
we'll be okay.
We don't need to overthink it too much. I think it's just often a lot. And I think sometimes steps of obedience and faith don't make sense sometimes. Right. And I think as long as you test it with the scriptures and test it with good counsel.
Exactly.
And if people say like, see what happens, then go for it. You
exactly.
know? Like when I went to my trip in KL, like I did ask people, not a huge lot of people, but I said, should I go to this thing? And they're like, yeah, do it. And I was just like, I didn't really believe it myself, but I was like, okay, I guess I'm convinced enough to go. And yeah, sure enough, like.
Exactly.
Yeah, life-changing. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Faith and obedience.
That's right. That's right. All right. So, lightning round to end this time. Okay. What's your favorite thing to do to wind down nowadays?
Puzzles.
Puzzles. Nice. Pineapple and pizza?
Yes.
Okay. I know this one for sure. Coke or Pepsi?
Bruh, Pepsi. Nah. Coke, 100%. Coca-Cola.
Pepsi's still better.
Why?
iPhone, Android?
iPhone.
Yeah. What's a hot take that you have?
A hot take?
Yeah.
I feel, okay, this is so weird. I feel like a lot of people always tell me like, oh, you have a very like hot take on life, like in general.
Okay.
Like people think like my views on things are not normal, which are really strange. I feel like they're really normal. Like I'm an average person.
I think maybe it's just the way that you it's not, I guess the way that you're pretty chill about things.
Yeah.
And I think that lends itself to a certain viewpoint on things.
Yeah.
So
I guess my hot take is with no context, okay? I'll just say it.
Yeah.
You can drop out of high school if you want to.
Okay. Something to unpack another time. One thing that you're reminding yourself of daily or lately?
That nothing else matters, only me and God.
Wow. Amazing. And last thing, one piece of advice that you were given that has helped shape your life and who you are today.
One piece of advice. Can you repeat it?
So like, what's one piece of advice that you were given to you or heard that has shaped your life and who you are today?
Oh, so many things. I don't know. That
You can pick a few if you want.
that I need to finish a task, honestly.
Okay.
Like that you just need to rephrase. If you've committed to something, just get it done and finish it and pull through. Good times and bad. Yeah.
And that has helped shaped.
I think so. Yeah. I think you can see it in me. It's just like I've committed to it. I'll just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah. And
That's
I'll do
true.
it well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah. My mom and dad, they're the ones that like drilled it into me when I was like 12 or something. I wanted to quit a band because I hated it. Hated the Saturday mornings. Hated that I was just a part of it. And my mom and dad said, you've committed. You just got to do it.
That's so, and I think it's so, it's not really a hot take, but I think it's like something that our generation does struggle with.
That's true.
Gen Z especially, I would say. Maybe for their own reasons, but yes.
Yeah.
I think commitment is a big thing nowadays.
Yeah, we've talked about this before.
Yes.
It's true. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining the JC podcast.
I just want to honor you, James. You are such a great person and you are so talented and I'm so glad you're doing this.
Thank you.
Truly. I'm so glad you're doing this. This is so cool.
Yeah.
This is
it's
so
just
cool.
like, we're just leveling up in a way.
Yeah, legit. So good.
And I hope all the cameras work today, but we'll see.
Legit.
We'll find out.
So
if it's audio only, you'll know that none of the cameras worked. Yeah. But thank you so much for joining and saying yes. And, who knows, maybe come back again sometime. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in to the JC podcast. This is, our 8th episode and keen to keep going and see where God takes this. But if you felt that this episode was helpful and beneficial, please, you can't really like it. You can like it on YouTube, but share it, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on YouTube as well. And if you have any feedback, please give us feedback. You can give feedback on my Instagram, @_James Chia, or you can email me if you like to use email, jameschia.ministries@gmail.com. And we'd love to hear from you, love to hear some feedback about, how this has blessed you. But thanks for joining and we'll see you guys next time.
Yay!